I guess hot take, don't trade Jaylen Brown in the offseason, chat. If you're the Celtics, I know, make no mistake, you're going to see you may see a couple of Jaylen Brown fake trades in the offseason just because they're fun to cook up, chat. And Jaylen Brown, by no means are we actually meaning to, we don't actually mean the trades for the, we're just messing around, chat. It's just 2K sometimes. But yeah, in real life, unless, there's like a Davis for Luka thing that you can flip and you're like, whoa, what is happening? Unless, Nico Harrison calls and it's like, Jaylen Brown's the missing piece for the finals. Well, you take the number 1 pick for Jaylen Brown. You're like, wait a second, what's going on? Is that a segment, chat? Do we just cook that up right now? Like, what are the craziest moves that Nico Harrison could trade the number 1 overall pick for you? You're like, again, in sort of the Davis, like maybe people like me are like, Jaylen Brown's a good player though. Jaylen Brown's a good, I'd be right there, chat. Jaylen Brown's a good player. Jaylen Brown, Anthony Davis, and I guess they wouldn't have Cooper Flagg, but Jaylen Brown and Anthony Davis, I don't know. That's a fun team. The West is terrifying, so I don't know. Is it better than Giannis and Wemby? Oh, wait a second. Giannis is not on the Spurs yet, chat. We can't pencil them in as a combination for the playoffs next year. But are they better than? Well, chat, I don't know. Jaylen Brown and Davis. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good combination. It's two all NBA guys. Is it better than, the regular season depth of the Thunder and the way they're playing the playoffs now? Who knows what the Timberwolves look like next year with the Julius Randle piece, and if he's like a re-sign guy, if he's a sign and trade, or Dillingham more minutes, chat. But Jaylen Brown for the number 1 overall pick would be funny. I guess maybe it's just players. Who are the players that he could trade the number 1 overall pick for? I guess that does feel like a segment, chat, because I'm watching Jaylen Brown right now. I mean, I don't think Jaylen Brunson as well too. It's like, whoa, wait a second. Now we're getting too spicy. Knicks fans, I mean, they wouldn't trade Brunson for Cooper Flagg. Oh, Josh Hart with the Porzingis armpit right to the face. The swipe through by Porzingis, most of the time you get an elbow. Maybe you'd rather catch an elbow in that situation, chat. Hey, yo, that's aggressive. That's wild, chat. That's a full, I mean, every bit of Porzingis pit sweat just wiped off on Josh Hart's face right now. That's crazy. That is levels of basketball that, for even a guy like me, as much as I love basketball, and I feel like I can get competitive, chat. I can get, for the love of the game, like that sweaty, shirtless post-up guy in the park. I guess I'm not necessarily, physical defense down low, but I'll double if you need to. If you need me to double, if he gets too deep in position pause, I'll get down there and help you play defense on that guy. But a full armpit to the face, right to the nose, chat, right to the NCIS, the Naval Academy, whatever. Hey, yo, that was wild. Yeah, they did send Josh Hart to the bench. Has anybody ever taken a shower at halftime, chat? I mean, I might. Or at least, hopefully he brought like his little exfoliating scrub with him for after the game. Looking good for the post-game conference. But, I get Game 6 celebration. You're moving on to the next round. I don't know if you bring is this a weird question, chat? What's the shower, not the shower routine, but like, hey, yo. But are we talking like full face product? Like, is it the full routine, or is it just quick after the game? Because we're not talking locker rooms here, chat. We're talking professional sport. We're talking the Knicks locker room at Madison Square Garden. We're talking about bathrooms nicer than any bathroom, and it's probably a nicer bathroom than any bathroom that I've ever used or lived in. So we have cute, nice bathrooms all over the place, chat. I'm not dissing any of those rooms. I'm just saying it's not necessarily, I think, or like a gym locker room where you're like, oh man, as much as if I need to get ready at the gym, like, I guess I could throw together some, throw some hair products in the bag and stuff like that. But it's like, it's not the ideal place for, at least for me, chat. Again, but I'm not, and the gym that I go to is nice because I guess I don't think any gym anymore has got like community shower situations. Maybe some YMCAs and stuff like that, which is, I feel like for 2025 still like a wild move. But at least for the gyms in town here, it's you get a shower curtain, you get a nice little little cubicle shower situation to get some privacy chat. But hey, what rabbit hole is this? Gym shower rabbit hole is crazy. It's crazy. We don't even have gray hair yet, chat. I feel like this is a rant for many, many years from now. Hey, what's going on with the gym showers these days? But I guess when the Knicks are are they edging in on the 30-point lead? Hey, yo, 30. What are they doing? They're starting to do the 3-point percentages. In their wins, they shot this. In their losses, they shot this. Missoula? Maybe Missoula. Who's the biggest winner from the Tatum injury? Joe Missoula? I don't know if he was on the hot seat after this playoff series, but it was a little like, okay, the eyeballs are starting to point. Again, I think the players, you mix up the roster in the offseason in some little ways, and then you see what Missoula is able to do with a little bit of change in that way, and okay, adjusting, plugging new guys into the system, making sure they fit around the superstars, making sure that, again, they still remain a competitive team. Like, how is he able to get this all to work? But it is a bit of, and maybe, again, the playoff series for two competitive teams like this, it can be tough for the coaches where you can get a little overreact. I think overreactive is the right word. And maybe there is even still in this series, maybe there's a version where you walk away and go, okay, is Tom Thibodeau the right coach for the Knicks? Is Missoula the best version? But, it's always going to be a comparison of what, of course, is the next best option. But again, Missoula versus Thibodeau, like, those are two. I feel like if the coaches could get fired and then hired for each other in a playoff series that they lose, like, maybe you shouldn't fire your coach, or just maybe you shouldn't hire another coach. Like, just go in a completely different direction instead of Missoula's like a younger guy. Maybe the completely different direction would be the old veteran, just, Doc Rivers, chat, bring him back. But, or Van Gundy or something like that, just who's the established guy that's like, okay, do we think Van Gundy's going to win a title? If he's on the Celtics, honestly, chat, are we cooking? Van Gundy on the coaching the Celtics? Sorry, Missoula, back to the second round, Joe Missoula. Hey, yo, chat. Hey, yo, Van Gundy, Joe Missoula, roast swapping. Hey, yo. But, Missoula brings the 3-point, the spacing, the analytical offensive stuff to the team, and Van Gundy's going to bring this defensive side of things that, again, maybe with the Holiday and Horford combination as well too on the team. And Horford's another one that we should mention. But Horford, he still feels valuable. I know he's not full level Horford in the same way, Chad. Hey, yo, but is he a free agent as well too? Ooh, Chad, it's a dicey one. If you're already $20 million over the second apron and Horford's not on the books, maybe that Xavier Tillman 2.5 minimum's not looking too bad at that point. And again, Cornette, you're like, okay, well, are we going to re-sign Cornette and Horford? Maybe it becomes like a reverse bidding war and Cornette versus a pay cut war. It's like, okay, who wants a bigger discount? Al Horford or Luke Cornette to play on this Celtics team? But you get Van Gundy's defensive mindset in there, and I don't know if Missoula's like, I'll be your assistant on the team that I was just the head coach, but a little Popovich, like, step up, back in the front office to coach, back to the front office. Missoula, assistant to head coach, back to assistant. Has that ever happened before, chat? I feel like it's happened in the NFL. There's definitely been an NFL guy. There's been some interim stuff that have done that, but as like the guy getting promoted to the actual head coach, coaching multiple seasons, and is like, oh yeah, I'll be the assistant for the next guy. It's definitely had to have, but not in a high profile way that I can remember anyway. So Missoula has a chance to be the first in that regard when they bring in Jeff Van Gundy in the offseason. But maybe Jeff Van Gundy back to New York. But either way, because I'm thinking, like, the Lakers, like, all these head coaches over the last couple of years that have gotten fired, there have been, reasons for it, and I think moves that have been made where you're like, okay, I get that they're shaking this up here. Like, Vogel was a guy for the Lakers that, was it a little bit more surprising that he won the title? Is like that, the more, it's, again, shout out to his defense for what that team was as well too. It's all about the fits and stuff like that. You're playing with a great guy, LeBron, who can just make up for everything else. And LeBron and Rondo offensively, especially, like, is there a perfect team to make up for some of Frank Vogel's weaknesses as a head coach, chat? But Budenholzer as well too with Milwaukee. Like, as much as I don't think Budenholzer would have been, much better in this situation than Doc Rivers. And let's see. Testing one. Doc Rivers, maybe not perfect with all the quotes, but we weren't following the Milwaukee blogs maybe as we should have been to see if there was like stories about his relationships with the teams and stuff like that. But Doc Rivers always seems like a guy that, or at least with this team, maybe there's not too much. Maybe there's just like so much disconnect that nobody's just like everybody shows up, goes to work, and goes home. Like maybe that's exactly what this team is, chat, at this point. But there's just been some, a lot of the high-profile coaches have been moved on from him. And I guess this just goes to every level with what we're saying with the Celtics. Like, this team just won the title a year ago. Like, Tatum got hurt in the playoffs. This Knicks team was, in a way, built to beat the Celtics. Not too unlike, we mentioned the Timberwolves-Nuggets series from last year already. Like, not too unlike that. But that's another one where, and they didn't have the KCP, Bruce Brown bench combinations to look at and go, okay, do we need to try to start trading KCP? But, maybe they could have been like, do we need to move Gordon for this piece or Porter Jr. for this piece or Murray for that, who knows, whatever, chap. But, it's like, let's keep the core guys around. They still had Braun, so you're not going to trade Braun. His trade value is too valuable right now, chat, for the Nuggets. Braun cannot be moved. But they just, it's just sometimes the matchup and, again, the way that Jokic played in Game 7, as much as you kind of block that out of your mind because he's such a great player and has had so many great playoff performances that, you're not going to give him that one, but it's still like, okay, again, they're kind of in Game 7 because Jokic is so amazing. But he did not, the Timberwolves played really good defense on the Nuggets in that series as well, too. So it's a little bit of combination of both, but the numbers weren't there all the way around for Jokic. And for the Celtics this year, of course, the three-point shooting wasn't there for him in the playoffs. And again, it's the Tatum thing is obviously what makes you think dramatically like this. If Tatum just gets, if they just get eliminated with everybody healthy, it still becomes a conversation of, okay, what do we do? Because again, the team is expensive and apparently the new owners are not willing to just, for nostalgia purposes or whatever, just keep paying these NBA owners are so rich now that you can't, 500 million is crazy. I'm not necessarily great with the percentages, like what percent of a billion is that, but and how many billions do these guys have? And it's ownership groups are just like all out of, what's that guy's name, Chad? Is it is Pagula the guy that bought the Celtics? Obviously Grossbeck was the guy that owned it before, but I forget Ishbia is the last new owner that I want to, because he wasn't necessarily like, the Durant move, he made the basketball moves that made an impact, but he himself is he was talking a little crazy. Ishbia entered the league swinging for sure. Pagula, I don't know if he's necessarily been as riled up to start, but again, he bought the team in the middle of the season, and did the Sun sale go down in the off season? I don't remember, chat, where the timeline of all that stuff, and different types of sales as well too. So the Grossbeck's obviously just looking to make a profit on their on their investment. But for the Celtics, chat, guess what? This team is good. The Knicks are also really good. Brunson, we said going into the series, and the Tatum Brown thing, as much as we're Brunson's just an amazing player and amazing in these fourth quarters and amazing in these close games. And like I was saying, if Tatum is playing the best version of Jason Tatum that we've seen, it's no discredit to Jason Tatum. It's just Brunson is that good in fourth quarter. Brunson is, I forget, was it Mike Breen on Russillo's pod talking about, would he be, like a top 5 guy consensus in the league if he won a title? And I don't know if he starts entering, because, Steph wasn't just a guy that was also impacting games. He was also just impacting the game itself. Like, he was literally changing the way basketball is played. So, but if you think about guards taking teams to finals, though, of course, he is the notable guy from this era to be doing that. And if Brunson joins that group chat, and to be honest, even the conference championship thing as well, too, like Dame got there, and maybe we, Halliburton going back-to-back years as a guard, it's like he needs to start getting his love in that, and, as we've been saying as well, too, in that top I was going to start saying top 10, and even I can't be like, well, just lock him into the top 10. So, even still now, it's like a little Halliburton bias. So, more motivation for Halliburton, chat. But top 15? Halliburton over Booker, we have to lock it in at this point? I guess so, chat. I guess so. And Halliburton's made more conference finals than Booker at this point. At 2, Booker's been in a finals. Halliburton, a little bit younger, a little bit more offensive responsibility than Booker. Booker obviously won the title when he had a point guard like Chris Paul. Halliburton, Chris Paul, and Booker rolled up into one. Hey, yo, chat. Now we're talking crazy. But it was kind of like, wait a second. That's not too far off. It's not too far off. Obviously, he's not fully Chris Paul and Devin Booker, because that player would be one of the greatest players of all time. And maybe Halliburton's on his way, chat. Maybe Halliburton's on his way. But Brunson is that good of a player that the Knicks in close games could have won this series again, regardless of what the Celtics and all these guys could have done. And this is just a team that I think, and this is just a matchup that is a tough year, tough matchup. The Tatum Brown thing, of course, again, there's going to be questions to the whole, and maybe the coaching thing is the questions that you would ask. I don't know. But I'm not looking to get too dramatic if I'm the Celtics in the offseason. And I guess I'm double talking a little bit. I don't mind necessarily adding it. You got to add and adapt and be different and change a little bit. But the idea of just these massive shakeups and stuff, like, I don't think the Celtics are a team that needs to be looking to be too drastic with that stuff. Like I think the Porzingis trade has to be, obviously it has to be a really smart trade. And especially with the way you have to match contracts as well too. But, you can kind of split the stuff. But Porzingis is, with him as an expiring, like, you're going to take Porzingis and trade him for 2 smaller contracts that go for like 2 or 3 more years? Or you just have Porzingis for 1 more season and pay a massive tax bill, and then you're kind of free. Here, like, let's look at their tax bill for the next season. Because you would still have Holiday and White, like a lot of the guys still on the books. But if you have, again, if you're thinking, let's just not necessarily need to trade these guys in the offseason and then be willing to take a little bit of, I don't know what the timeline is for, like, well, you have to pay your luxury tax bill. I don't know if it's like going into the start of the season or if it's more at the end of the season where you could like trade deadline some stuff and real, last minute dump some salaries, mix up some stuff. I guess you couldn't necessarily clear out your books in a major way, but maybe save a lot of the money in the tax side of things. But for, I guess, the Celtics, anyways, next couple of years, again, Tatum Brown on pretty big extensions. Derek White signed through 27-28. 32.5. That's not going to look too bad in 27-28, I guess. Pritchard lockdown on this contract is nuts, Chad. Pritchard might have to just play worse. Just play like a $7 million a year player. Jesus, Pritchard. 6th man of the year in 4 years, $7 million a year? What are we doing here? Shireman a couple of years. So 25-26. But again, Holiday, a couple of years off the books. I don't even think Holiday is like that bad of a trade asset at this point. Again, maybe I'm just a delusional Holiday fan, but 32 million, it's not like they're going to be throwing a pick on there to get rid of the Holiday deal. I don't know, draft night, you have your number 28 overall pick, like that, who would be left at 28 that you'd get the contracts and stuff to start mixing up like that. I guess, are they going to start making moves with the Knicks after they just lost to lost to him in a playoff series, just played him in a playoff series. Pacers, I guess the Cavs, are they going to start saying like Drew Holiday is the missing piece? The Pistons, the Kevin Durant, they're definitely going to be, the Pistons are going to be big game shopping this year for sure. But the league, if the league is rigged and they want Giannis to go to San Antonio, maybe they want Durant to go to Houston, then maybe the Detroit's on the outside looking into the stars. So maybe Drew Holiday is the next best bet, Chad. Or like Franz Wagner for the Pistons. I don't know why the Magic would do that. But Holiday to the Lakers, Holiday to the Nuggets, chat. Like, would you start thinking about some like Porter Jr. for Holiday type stuff? I don't know. I know there were some Ben Simmons rumors, but I get that was Ben Simmons in free agency. He's not necessarily on that big number anymore that he was. So that could be an interesting one where you go, expiring, try to shorten the contract anyways. So maybe like a Holiday for Van Fleet. I know Simmons was bringing up Van Fleet as one of the contracts, and that was something I was like, oh, that would be good to go look at as well too, especially for this year because of the way that you have to match salaries. But the ones that are like non-guaranteed to where you could dump them off the books before the hey yo chat, but you could clear the cap space before the season started. So you're making the trade for the salary, but again, you're knowing that that salary is not going to be there off season or whatever. So I don't know if the Rockets are like, okay, yeah, let's lock in the Drew Holiday contract for the next couple of years. Or maybe, a team like the Grizzlies that just, maybe they need a veteran like that in their chat. I don't know if you start piecing together some of the younger assets, and it's not like they have the bigger contract to match. So I guess maybe they have the space. I guess the Grizzlies do have some space, chat. But is it going to be Clark for Holiday? Conchar for Holiday? Yeah, they just don't really have anything to match, unfortunately. So I don't know. We don't need to necessarily do Drew Holiday trade machine, I guess. Clippers? Drew Holiday for like Norm Powell for Drew Holiday? Norm Powell's 20 points a game, chat. I don't know. Bogdanovich? Bogdanovich at 16, like Bogdanovich and Derek Jones Jr. for Holiday? Something along those lines. Those guys on 2-year deals, though, the Clippers with this timeline, maybe they're thinking, everybody off the books in 2 years by now. 2 years from now, for sure. But I think there's definitely still a pretty good spot for Holiday. I don't know, maybe Pritchard. Maybe you have to pair Holiday and Pritchard together and then say, what do we get back for that? Pritchard's like the bait, chat. Maybe you can snag a bigger contract where you're like, we're out of the, Siakam, chat, the Pacers don't make the finals. Holiday and Pritchard for Siakam, Siakam's too good for that trade. That's crazy. Sorry, Pacers fans. That one doesn't count. Maybe the Hawks? Holiday to the Hawks, $32 million. You got Terrence Mann at $15 million. Okay, so we'll take Terrence Mann contract. Not going to necessarily save us any money. Or do you just go like, hey, how desperate are you to move on from Trae Young? It's probably going to hopefully get some picks and stuff in return for that. But maybe the Hawks are thinking differently now in the Trae Young trade process after. Because I don't think that the Trae Young trade process hasn't been going on. Oh, chat, the ESPN ticker says Aaron Gordon in doubt for Game 7. Oh, so he had the little hammy issue in the last game, but yikes, chat. No Gordon. The Nuggets without their second best player. Murray offensively had moments in the last game, but that is a yikes, chat. And Nuggets fans not feeling good. Thunder fan with a big sigh of relief, chat. Niang, you get Niang for $8 million. Where was he at? Terrence Mann, where did he go? $15 million. Yeah, here he is, chat. $23 million. We need one more little contract in there. Not Recherche. Larry Nance no longer on the Hawks to be traded, chat. So Noah Kongwu. Maybe they could just take the rest of the space. Oh, so close. $1.2 million. Okay. So we don't need a big contract. Barlow? Barlow's not bad, chat. Pick up the team option on Barlow. Maybe the Celtics want Vit Krejcic? I don't know. 10.8 on the PPR, the PER. He had some moments. I definitely can picture him playing in an NBA game. I honestly don't know if he's a good or bad player. He might be just the most neutral player in the NBA, chat. Vit Krejcic? I don't know. How do you say this guy's name? Do we get a pronunciation guide on here for a guy Vit? There's no way that name's not. Is that short for something? Vitaly? Maybe it's short for Vitaly. No, just Vit. Vit! Our guy Vit! Vit Krejci. Oh, Vit Krejci, chat. Shout out to Vit Krejci. Oh, he is not bad. Look at these percentages, chat. Somebody get Vit Krejci some more minutes. Last 2 years in Atlanta, 49% from the field on 4 shots a game, 42%, 41% from 3, and then up to 40, almost 50% from the field on 5 shots a game, and 43% from 3. So Vit, chat. The Celtics get Vit. Maybe the Hawks want to keep him around. 24 years old. He's too valuable. This trade might be a steal, chat. The Celtics, pay attention. We're giving you the formula right here. Terrence Mann, Niang, and Vit Krejci for Drew Holiday. Here's the trade, chat. So Boston, listen up, because as the second half is about to approach, we're gonna celebrate the 15th anniversary of a classic chat. I don't know, is classic the right term? But Queen Latifah's in it, so it counts as a classic. But Queen Latifah helping Common return to the Eastern Conference Finals. If they could have brought in Queen Latifah for this game, chat, then maybe Jason Tatum would have had a chance. Achilles injury is down bad, but maybe Leslie Wright is the only athletic trainer out there that could have put together the regimen. I don't know, Tatum, he's a family, I guess I don't know the status of Tatum's relationships, but, I don't want to necessarily say, interject some drama in there, but just in terms of the training abilities of Queen Latifah, chat, that I think could be useful. So Vit Krejci and Queen Latifah to save the Boston Celtics in 2025. Lock it in, chat. But